What would you do if you're stuck in one place and every day was exactly the same and nothing that you did mattered? Welcome to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest, a weekly podcast where movie enthusiasts, current and ex-movie theater projectionists, new and old friends take the time to talk about a movie that we just watched and answer that very question, should or shouldn't you watch this? What would you do if you were stuck in the same day over and over?
Columbia Pictures presents
I may be having a problem.
Bill Murray
I'm reliving the same day over and over.
in a story about a weatherman who's living life like there's no tomorrow.
Don't drive angry.
Because there isn't.
I am an immortal. I have been stabbed, shot, frozen, electrocuted.
You're God.
I'm a god. I'm not the god.
Groundhog Day, rated PG, at theaters Friday.
I'd like to welcome back to the show, longtime friend of the Popcorn Priest and certainly a friend of the pod, Mr. Sack Lunch.
Dude, I'm with it on this one because we had a little rough stretch there, and we needed to find our way back to the high ground.
Yeah, I mean that comment that your wife made about the last couple movies we've picked really resonated with me, and I'm glad that you picked this one to kind of cleanse the palate.
Cleanse that palate, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, again, we decided that we didn't want to repeat show after show after show of trash films. You might have called it a Groundhog Day of bad movies. So Dan did a solid by picking a banger. Groundhog Day from 1993. Thank you. Thank you.
My question to you is, before jumping into this pod and watching it over the last week, did you always call it Groundhog's Day or Groundhog Day?
Groundhog Day.
You never put an S on it?
No. But it's funny.
If somebody said, hey, it's Groundhog's Day.
No. But it's funny you bring that up because we just celebrated Valentine's Day recently, and I've heard so many people say Valentine's Day. So that's
right. That's what I say.
You say Valentine's Day with the M?
And I always used to say Groundhog's Day with the S.
Yeah, you're wrong on both accounts. It's Groundhog Day and it's Valentine's Day.
I don't know, man. You haven't exactly proven yourself as a prolific lexicon of
pronunciation,
the vernacular. Yeah.
Listen, you're right, but I am right on this aspect.
Okay, I'll give it to you because I really don't know.
Yeah, Groundhog Day. One hog.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, one hog comes out. And his name's Punxsutawney Phil.
Punxsutawney, baby.
All right, the description for this one. A narcissist, self-centered weatherman finds himself in a time loop on Groundhog Day. Directed by Harold Ramis, the venerable and R.I.P. Harold Ramis. You know who Harold
What else did he do?
He's Egon from Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I mean, he's directed many awesome films. Stripes, Caddyshack, Vacation, The First Vacation, Groundhog Day, Multiplicity, Bedazzled, which
so good.
is, I feel like, a kind of an underappreciated movie.
I would agree.
It's fun. It's not like, it's just popcorn, but it's super fun to watch. Multiplicity, which I thought is really underrated as well. Anyway,
super underrated. He's good.
Yes.
He's good.
Yeah. Harold Ramis, plus he was in some of the most beloved comedies of the 80s and 90s, like Stripes and Ghostbusters. So
he made an appearance in this one.
Yes, he did. And I'm glad he did because it really made my day. Top billed stars are Bill Murray. I said Bill Murray.
It's okay.
Groundhog's Day. Stars in Groundhog's Day. Andy McDowell.
Like I said, you're prolific.
And Chris Elliott. I mean, I had the easiest names to pronounce this week, and I still screwed it up. Oh, jeez. A crisp 1 hour and 41 minutes, which is great. Rated PG. Genre on Rotten Tomatoes says romance comedy And IMDb says comedy, drama, fantasy. I don't know about the fantasy.
Yeah, I wouldn't go fantasy. But I mean, you wouldn't label this as romantic? Of course you would.
Yeah, I would say romance comedy. I think Rotten Tomatoes got it right this time. Yeah, IMDb, need to work on your genres. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of IMDb, they give it a 8.0, which is high, very high.
Very high.
If you can get in the 8s, you have done something right.
For sure.
From 678,000 reviews, Rotten Tomatoes gives us a 94% from 145 critic ratings and 88% from 250,000 audience ratings.
Wow.
At the time of this recording, you're going to have to rent or purchase this from your preferred purveyor of digital media. If you choose the highest tier of our Patreon account, you'll have access to the Popcorn Priest Permanent Collection. Go to patreon.com/Popcorn Priest for details. We have arrived at the most beloved category of Should You Watch This? Popcorn Reviews the Reviews.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right. You know the drill. What do you want, man?
I always the switchbacks, and let's start with the negative reviews, which I can't even imagine are even that negative.
Listen to me, dude. There are 250,000 reviews. Okay.
Yeah.
And of those 250,000, how many of those logged a 1-star for Groundhog Day?
I would probably say 7,500.
13.
13,000 or 1,300?
13.
Oh, just 13.
That's how we're
That's
going.
not surprising.
Yeah. This is crazy. So the reviews, people like this movie, okay? Even if they don't like it, they're going to give it a 3 or a 4-star out of 10. These are going to be great, is all I'm saying. I'm just prepping you.
Do you consider this as an underrated movie?
I do not think so. It was highly lauded when it came out.
Highly touted. Yeah.
Yeah. Both critically and commercially. 1 out of 10. Let it go, says the ninja. This movie has been televised here so many times that I am sick of the sight of it. Just like Groundhog Day playing over and over again. The network thinks it's amusing to put it on about twice every year, like an old joke. It was funny the first time, but now it's just plain boring and stupid and has become tiresome. I am determined that I will not watch this movie ever again for as long as I live. Get over it. It's not funny. 1 out of 10.
Can I make a suggestion for this homeboy?
Dude.
Get outside every once in a while. Like, you clearly watch too much TV. And if you get outside every once in a while, then the 2 times a year is actually only going to be 1 time a year because you were outside the other time it was on. Come on.
I know, dude. That's insane to me.
But would you not agree, even with 2 times a year, if it comes on, I'm watching?
Correct. Oh yeah. And now because of this pod, I ripped my I have a copy of this, so I ripped it and put it on my server because now I can just watch it whenever I want, wherever I want. It's going to be awesome.
Smart.
Here's the first 10 out of 10, and it's a banger. Groundhog is Jesus, says Raw Reuben. Raw Reuben. Reuben. I read the 2003 New Yorker piece about Ramus. He's a Chicago-born Jew with no religious training. He is a Hollywood director, actor, and comedy scriptwriter, presently studying Buddhism with his second wife. At the time this was true. I don't know anything about Danny Rubin, other than his version of the script had Andy McDowell also reliving Groundhog Day along with Murray's Phil, the slimy weatherman for a Pittsburgh TV station. Ramus made the necessary changes, and the rest is possibly the greatest non-secular religious experience in American cinema. The fact that rabbis, ministers, and priests are showing this film to their parishioners all over the world is a testament to the film's masterful Aristotelian philosophy of redemption and rebirth. 10 out of 10.
I mean, I don't think there's any question where this person lines up religiously, but
Do you? I mean, I don't think it's clear. He's saying that they're all the religions like it.
no, he's Jew. He's a Jew for sure.
Whoa! All right, Ra Reuben is a Jew. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. The listeners are going to know that we certainly like this movie, but did you feel that there was any religious undertones to this movie?
Yeah. Not overtly.
Really?
Not overtly, but the whole idea of like, and not like specific religious. That's why it's so poignant to all these different faiths, is because the idea of redemption, the idea of this person's who is not a good human, he's kind of an a-hole to everyone, has this experience that really makes him want to serve and help others and be a better human, which I think is very religious.
I don't think it's so, but it's not exclusively for the religious, right? Like,
no,
I think that's just human. Like that's just mankind. That's just being a human being. I think all of us are capable and have redemptive qualities.
But I think what he's saying is it resonates with all the faiths, including people who are just, I just want to be a good citizen and help others, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is I don't think that the faiths even need to come into it. I think it just resonates with everybody, and we can leave it at that. Because like the redemption wasn't to get into the, to be allowed through the gates or anything like that. It was because he came to that self-realization of who he was and who he should be. So
yeah, I disagree with you. I think it can be both, in my opinion. But yeah, I see your side of it, but I also see that why it resonates with religious groups, for sure.
All
right. Next 1 out of 10. Not funny, says Jacob John Taylor 1. His full name. Jacob John Taylor. This movie is not funny. It's kind of boring. It had some good actors in it, but the storyline was pretty bad. Don't waste time and money. Don't see this movie. It has a lot of slapstick. I do not care much for slapstick. He says, I do not care much for slapstick. I think it is simple and not really that funny. It is kind of a good concept, but not a very good movie. Don't see it. 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 Not funny. Not funny, not funny, not funny. Poo, 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 poo. Poo, 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 poo.
Had to hit that minimum.
And pee, 2.
Okay.
I need more lines, and I don't know what else to say. This and an awful movie. Awful movie, awful movie. Awful movie, awful movie. Bill Murray clowns around to try and make better, but the script is so weak. Spelled Week. It is still a very bad movie.
Intelligentsia.
1 out of 10.
I mean, I don't know where he's getting slapstick from. I felt like the humor was actually pretty intelligent humor.
Correct.
There was nothing slapstick about this. I don't understand where he's coming from on that one, but because Bill Murray, I mean, he's such a genius.
Yes.
Such a genius. And it was on full display on this movie. So and for him to say some of the things that he just said, albeit certainly not profound, but it reeks of somebody that is probably a WWE fan.
I mean, I support that comment. Listen, when a guy, John Taylor says poo, 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 and pee a lot, you're going to get the high caliber of, the high echelon of intelligence. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Second, 10 out of 10. What can I say? I've seen this movie over 30 times. Says Sarah Rats. This has to be the only movie you can watch over and over, and for some reason it's just as good each time. I know of no other movie I can say this about. I'm sure I will be watching when I'm 100 years old, And by that time, it should be close to 300 times that I have watched this. Should go down in history as a classic. And I'm not the only one, since this movie gets tons of play on TV and continues to draw interest. It proves one thing: writing a good story is what makes a good movie, period. Adding graphic violence, sex, swearing, and huge explosions and stunts with tons of computer effects are all overdone today. All we want is a good story that takes us through the movie and makes us feel good at the end. Psst. Not to say that sex, violence, and swearing and big explosions don't have their place. I just think that they are overdone and used too frequently to pull off a movie. Funny, it's not
And
my...
boobs. Don't forget boobs.
Yeah, well, it's sex. There's going to be some skins. Srarat closes up by saying, funny, it's not my favorite movie of all time, but I can watch it more times than any other movie. 10 out of 10.
I think you would agree with this to some level, that every single time you watch it, you notice just one new thing.
Correct.
Like something stands out. Something is just a little funnier where you're like, oh, God, I didn't get that before. Why didn't I get that before? So, I mean, just sitting here watching it on my phone by myself last night, and I'm laughing. I mean, out loud laughing. And you just don't get that. And the last two pods that we did, we said kind of the same thing. Conceptually, those were great, right? And it's been done. So has this movie. It's been done over and over and over in many different formats. But this one gets it right. And I would even venture to say that I would love a remake of this with Bill Murray still.
Whoa, that would be kind of interesting to have like a sequel where he finds himself in another loop. And what does he do this time?
Maybe he's still married to Andy McDowell, and with that first version of the script is now the second version of the script where the two of them are stuck in a loop.
Oh, that would be interesting too. Have them both be in the loop.
Yeah, could be fun.
Yeah. Hey, Hollywood, I know you're listening. It's a freebie. We're just giving them away here on the show.
Just giving them away.
All right, last 1 out of 10. Absolutely horrible, says Car C. G. Rove. C. Drove 2696. This is the worst movie to have ever existed, does exist, or will ever exist. It is horrid. It's boring. And use the same joke for an hour and a half. Graphic themes such as suicide make it a bad movie. It is not funny. It is not interesting. It has no moral theme or lesson. What? It simply exists. There is no reason to watch this movie, whether it is Groundhog Day or not. 1 out of 10.
You're telling me, once again, conceptually, if you were going through Groundhog Day over and over and over, you wouldn't kill yourself a few times just to see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, it's funny because it's many levels, right? And I know this is a little spoilery, but it's relevant to this review. But it's funny because it makes suicide funny for a minute, and then it kind of switches to this dark moment where you're like, oh my gosh, this is kind of dark and scary.
I think it would be. I mean, the roller coaster that you'd be on the same day over and over, because, like, albeit you can have new experiences, you can go and do some of the things that he did, but there's still going to be a level of every single day that you can't escape. Yeah. Right? The second you walk out that door, you're running into that same person. Now, the dialogue can be different, but it's still, you can't escape those moments. So I don't understand, like, what he means when he said that the same joke for an hour and a half.
I mean, it is, but it isn't, you know?
Yeah, I just think a movie like this with even, I mean, it's not as if it's, you know, the ocean or anything, but any amount of depth for these type of people is going to be too much.
I agree. Last 10 out of 10. Live changing, says Demetrius81. I think he meant to say life changing, but it sounded funny to me. Life changing. This movie changed my life in an hour.
This is actually an hour 47.
Correct. Well, personally, it didn't because I love my life.
That's amazing.
I want to read that again. This movie
Please.
changed my life in an hour. Well, personally, it didn't because I love my life, but definitely could change someone else's life.
Like if you're searching for meaning, if you're down, like if you're suicidal, don't call 1-800 number. It's like don't call a mental health professional. Go watch Groundhog Day.
Yeah, that's what this guy's saying. This is what Demetrius is saying.
Demetrius said, well, I mean, not me personally,
Yeah.
but
I'm doing great. How about you? All right, he goes on to say, or she or they, it shows how you can appreciate every little moment of your life and how this moment can be so vital and catalytic for the rest of your day or for your remaining existence in this world. Also, how can you play a very vital role in someone else's life? There is no such thing as fate. Everything is in your hand, in your mind, and in your actions. It's never too late to do anything. Really? Anything? It's never too late to do anything, he says.
I mean,
Like, go to the bathroom, sit up in your bed, walk around to get the mail. It's never too late to do anything. Learn something new like an art. Example, piano. I like that. Learn something new like an art. Example, piano or sculpture or how to talk to people. What? How to talk to people.
quite a, that's yeah, sure, it's an art, I guess.
All right. And to make them feel better about themselves. And about you, if you're interested. Make your choices for the best outcome you can get. Not because you have to. 10 out of 10.
I just picture this guy clicking post, standing up off of his chair, arms spread wide open, and just shaking his head like, yeah, that was the post of all posts, baby. That's me. That's me. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's
an empty house.
we're kind of hearkening back to a hashtag that we created in our Mission Impossible pods. Demetrius is wanting to have people gaze on him. He wants Demetrius gazing.
He wants Demetrius gazing.
He wants people to be like, look, I've given you this morsel, this gem. Gaze upon me.
Hey, but I appreciate the positivity.
No, it's good.
I say it all the time. Like we've certainly lost our way as a society, and these types of things are good. Like we've got to elevate each other. So good job, Demetrius.
I love it. You're doing the Lord's work. You're doing the Groundhog's work. All right. You ready for should or shouldn't you watch this?
Let's jump in, baby.
I'm sorry I cut you off there slightly with this obnoxious air horn, but that's what I have to do. 5 reasons why you should watch this, and then I want your reasons as well, Sack Lunch.
Good.
Number 1, if you like Bill Murray, then this is for you.
For sure. Quintessential, just the full arsenal on display.
Correct. Number 2, if you're bored with current Hollywood blockbuster movies and somehow you haven't seen this, then this is for you.
Which I am indeed bored with current Hollywood.
Number 3, if you want to laugh, learn something about human nature, and potentially cry, then this is for you.
Wait, did you cry?
I did weep. I weeped.
When did you
I weeped,
weep?
dude. I weeped.
What did you weep?
This is spoilery. Obviously, everyone knows about Groundhog Day, right? Like the movie, he's repeating the same day. But when he finally starts to like help people, when he like, oh man, I might cry right now. When he helps that old man and he just can't seem to save his life, and he's in the, what really got to me was when they show him die multiple times, but then he goes into the diner and gives him a bowl of soup. And the line when he says, it's hard to get down there, and he passes him his bowl. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy he's just trying so hard to save this old man. And it made me weep.
Yeah, because that was, right after he tried to get them up and going in the alley.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean,
It touched my
I
heart.
didn't quite get there, but it definitely touched my heart. I'm with you on that.
Number 4, I might have had a stroke when I was reading or when I was writing this. If you ever wondered what would I do if I could live forever, then this is for you.
Sure.
Yeah,
Who
I mean,
hasn't?
everyone has that. If you like had an unlimited amount of time, what would you do? I think about that like a lot.
Oh, for sure. Of course.
And number 5, finally, if you want to have Sonny Bono and Cher stuck in your brain rent-free, then this is for you.
I did. I woke up thinking about that particular.
And put your little hand in mine.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that, I think of Groundhog Day.
Well, anytime you hear the movie Groundhog Day, like that immediately pops in my brain.
Correct. Any other
Dude,
reasons?
Who knew the popcorn priest was so sensitive?
Hey, I'm in touch with
Depth, baby.
I'm in touch with my human nature and human self. Not sure what that means, but yes, I'm sensitive.
I would probably add, because the listeners who know me well will know this, that this movie is very nostalgic.
How
not
so?
Just in that, not just in that I've seen it so many times from back in the early '90s, but it just harkens to a time where those types of events were fun. Like all the community would turn out for that. And, we grew up in very small town, rural, northern Utah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so rural now, but
No.
it certainly was 30, 35 years ago when we were there. And these types of events, the entire town would turn out. And I miss that. Like I miss the 4th of July parades that, and everybody was in a good mood and very welcoming to one another. And it doesn't feel the same. And so this movie, watching that type of event go off at the town square, which I believe this is actually still done every year, correct?
Mm-hmm. It is.
But this is back to a time when these types of events were not commercialized. You go to these events now in your local town, and they're going to be a little more commercialized, where before
Correct.
It was all about community. And so that's why I'm nostalgic, is just I remember what those days felt like back in the 90s when it was so community centric. So I would say that's another reason, because you hopefully you will feel a little bit of nostalgia for that community that you used to have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of sounding like my parents, but yes, I agree.
But I think that's a good list.
All right. We did it. Let's get into by the numbers.
Let me tell you something, pendejo.
All right. I just realized I hit the wrong soundbite. Please forgive me.
Yep.
Here we go again. Boop.
For God's sake, just give me the damn number!
All right. What do you think the budget is for Groundhog Day?
Gosh, I mean, this was early to mid 90s. I would probably say 38 million.
Whoa, that's high. I mean,
Really?
only because I know the number, but it's 14.6 million.
Wow. What do you think this would cost to make today? 70?
No.
80?
Depends on the actors that you get for the roles, but I would put this at 35, 40 million, maybe.
Today?
Yeah. I don't think it's that expensive to do.
Huh. Okay. 14 million?
Yeah.
Wow.
And guess what it made?
That's impressive.
And here's
I mean-
before I reveal the number I'm going to tell you, for some reason it wasn't, at least the research I was able to uncover was small release in Europe, in the UK. It was mainly a domestic US release. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. I would probably put it at 47 million.
71.1 million.
Wow, that's gigantic.
It's insane, dude. And it's essentially like, I mean, it is a small budget film. It wasn't released globally. It only made $14,000 in the UK. Like, it was not a global release. So to make that much money, it's crazy.
I mean, half the population would have had to have went and seen it. Half the 20 and over crowd would have had to have seen that in the
Correct.
US at that time to hit that kind of number. I mean, and back then movie tickets were legit $5 and under.
Yes, easily.
Man, you remember dollar theaters?
I mean, we still kind of have them in Utah. They're like $3, $4 theaters now, but we still have them.
I remember the dollar theater. Huh? How about that?
So this is crazy. This type of movie can't ever be made again and be released in a theater. But back then, it was the 10th highest grossing movie in North America.
What year?
1993.
94? 3?
1993.
It was the 10th highest?
10th highest. Isn't that insane?
Yeah. Michael J. Fox has got to have one of them because that was kind of his pinnacle.
According to Box Office Mojo, they actually put Groundhog Day as 12th, but I found multiple sources say it was 10th. But according to Box Office Mojo. So I'm going to give you the, I guess, top 11 before the 12th Groundhog Day. Jurassic Park was released in 1993. Juggernaut of a movie.
Amazing movie.
I think I watched it like 5 times. I helped that number. $357 million it made, Jurassic Park.
Wow.
In 1993.
Incredible.
And then I'll rapid fire these. Number 2, The Fugitive.
Okay.
Number 3, The Firm.
Great.
Number 4, Sleepless in Seattle. 5, Mrs. Doubtfire. Great, yeah. Number 6, Indecent Proposal. 7, In the Line of Fire. 8, Aladdin. 9, Cliffhanger, dude.
Great.
And then 10, A Few Good Men.
Oof. Amazing.
That was a good year. Here's a couple of highlights down the list. Demolition Man. Yeah. Cool Runnings.
Yeah, I love it. Love that movie. One of the last of John Candy's.
Correct. And who's not going to love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 3?
Dude, it was so good. It was so good.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so there's...
I'm not. I loved it. Well, I guess I'm not sure if number 3.
Yeah, number 1 and 2 are awesome. Secret of the Ooze, bro. Sick.
Yeah, dog. In it.
Did you know that last year was the 30th year anniversary of Groundhog Day movie?
What month did they release it in 93?
Listen, I don't know, man. Like,
I was just curious if they released it on Groundhog Day.
No, they didn't. I don't think they did. I think they released it like in the summer, which seems like a miss. All right, Bill Murray. Again, we're in numbers, by the way. Bill Murray was bitten by the groundhog twice during shooting. Murray had to have anti-rabies injections because of the bites were so severe.
Wow.
That's intense.
Don't mess with the groundhog. I mean, look, if you're gonna play with lions and want to eat you, I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
Don't blame the lion.
I mean, they do have giant front teeth. Like, they're there. When filming began, the cast and crew were dealing with winter weather. Murray has said that it was routinely around 20 degrees outside, and filming days would last as long as 12 hours. For the scenes between Phil and Ned, Ramis wasn't sure how he wanted the weather to be, so he decided to shoot their encounters 9 times in 9 different weather scenarios.
I love those scenes, by the way. Needle nose Ned.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him, and he's like, he read it, and he's like, I feel like I gotta ham this up like way high. And he told Ramis, he's like, listen, I'm gonna start off like this. You tell me if I've gotta, reel it in. And he never did. He's like, just keep doing what you're doing. It's good.
Oh, was perfect. And this is a spoiler. I'm sorry, but I have to get it out when he hugs him, and he goes, "Can you take the rest of the day off?" It's just amazing, dude. It's so funny.
And then
the humor was perfect on this.
yeah. Well, it makes his animated nature of the way he portrays Ned makes that punch when he punches him in the face so satisfying.
Yeah.
Because don't you think, like, how many times, probably a million for me, if you're talking to some idiot and you're just nodding, you're like, yeah. And in your mind, you're like, I want to punch this guy in the throat. But you don't, because we have, we have rules and society here. But yeah, I love that he's like, well, I don't have any consequences. I'm going to punch this motherfudger in the face. It's good.
Oh, so good.
All right. The film received a nomination for Best Original Screenplay at the 66th Academy Awards. Well deserved.
Well deserved.
And the last by the number I have, this is kind of crazy, and I low-key would love to get my hands on this. The original cut of the film was over 3 hours long.
Wow. I don't know if I would want to get my hands on that, because is it more of each one they did, or is it new experiences? Because what I really appreciated about what they did is they said, here's the set encounters that you're going to see multiple times. And then here's a couple of other encounters that you can stretch your imagination on. But if I have to see each one a little bit more, no, I'm not into that. But if they were to show kind of stretching some of those encounters to even more new encounters, I would be into that. But that's what was so genius about this movie, is it left you wanting more.
Yeah. Well, there's some cool deleted scenes that I found online. You can look them up on YouTube, where he's a pool shark. And it's pretty great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to watch that for sure.
So, I mean, listen, I don't think it would be as great, right, as a 3-hour cut. I'm just saying, like, I would get to spend more time with Bill Murray and
Agreed.
And his character, and see how he, all the crazy ways he uses this special power or whatever experience to his advantage.
Yeah, I agree. No, I really do. I agree. I just think it left me wanting more. And if this could deliver that more, then yeah, you're right.
I love it. All right. That's all I got for this week. Is there any parting thoughts?
Yeah, like, even if you know the movie, go watch it again. And for some of the younger listeners that are, in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, good chance that you haven't seen this, and you need to. It's so quotable, it's so relatable, even today, 30 years later. So get out there, watch it, join us next week to listen to part 2. This is a fun one for sure, to really, really be a part of, this podcast, watch the movie, listen to the second part of this podcast. Yeah, I think it will be very, very enjoyable for everybody.
I agree. And we watched
and
this.
It's a family watch.
I was just about to say that. Like, we watched this with my family. I mean, there's one little 2 or 3 seconds where he's trying to get with Andy McDowell, but like, it's a great family film. And my son was loving it. He was like, oh my gosh, Dad, this is exactly what I would be doing if I could live forever in one day. He's like, I'm down. I would love this.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just engage really heavy on this one is my recommendation.
I love it. At this point, there will be spoilers up ahead. So if you want to watch and then come back next week and join us for a breakdown of Would You Punch Ned as Well from 1993. I'm on the social medias. I dare you to message the great Popcorn Priest at Popcorn Priest. I love movies and would love it if you'd share the love. Share this with a movie lover in your life. Another way to support the show is by throwing a few shekels at the priest by visiting patreon.com/Popcorn Priest and see what extra perks you can enjoy. Lastly, the easiest way to support the show and the most free is like and subscribe. And give us a 5-star review. Easier than spending the day over and over and over. As always, thanks for listening, and thanks to my special guest and reoccurring guest, Dan. Am I in Groundhog Day as well? Sekulich.
Always a pleasure, brother.
I appreciate it. Join us next week for part 2 of Groundhog Day from 1993. We'll see you guys next week.